Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with the Huawei Mate 20 Pro for a full and detailed review. Yes, we are indeed here with the famous triple camera phone that's set up as a square at the back side, and we have the beautiful Twilight version. So this phone debuted on October 16th, and it's basically part of a brand new series of phones. It includes the Mate 20, the Mate 20 Pro, the Mate 20X, and the special Porsche design luxury version. So this is actually a collection of premieres. The first phone I'm testing, which has a fingerprint scanner embedded in the screen, the first phone with a nano memory card slot, the first with a square camera, and the first one that does a reverse charging for another phone, wireless reverse charging with this backside here. Now, if you're wondering about the price tag, the Huawei Mate 20 Pro is priced at around $1,150. It's a flagship and it comes in Emerald, Twilight, which is the version we have, Midnight Blue, and Black. Now let's talk about the design. So of course it's made of glass and metal. We got curved 3D glass at the back, curved 3D glass at the front, obviously curved on the sides, metal frame between, and an interesting twist pink power button. Other than that, it's all a combination of blue, purple, and black, and as it catches the light, it changes the hue a bit in a fascinating manner. I have to say that the square camera grew on me as time passed, even though at first I wasn't enthusiastic and I compared it to a stove or something like a rocket launcher. Anyways, the phone measures 8.6 millimeters in thickness, it weighs 189 grams, and just as a comparison, the Galaxy Note 9 is a bit beefier at 8.8 millimeters and 201 grams. Of course, we have a notch, but we can hide it from the software, and I have to say that the side buttons are pretty comfy. Now, the actual feel is excellent. The phone is excellently spaced, divided, split, and calculated, and it's also narrow and long. The vibe is similar to the one you're getting from the OnePlus 6. That's the feeling I got here. It's as if I was using a OnePlus 6, and it's a compliment because it's pretty easy to handle with a single hand. So not bad. Premium materials, nice looks, IP68 water and dust proofing, and other than that, well, the camera may sit a bit odd on a flat surface, but in the end, a beautiful achievement from Huawei on the design front. Now, as far as the display is concerned, this one here is a biggie, 6.39 inches in diagonal, and it's got a generous resolution of 3120 over 1440 pixels. The aspect is 19.5 to 9. We got HDR10, we got DCI-P3, and there have been some problems. You've probably heard in the media that some of the versions are displaying a green tint on a yellow, or better said, or a gray background. Well, we did not have those problems, luckily, so we're some of the lucky ones who did not have the problem. Now the panels are split between LG, BOE, and Samsung, and once again we probably have the BOE version because we had zero problems with the discoloration and things like that. Now, if you want to get a proper idea of the way the screen handles itself, it's video playback time. So I'm going to use our typical test video. Let's turn down the volume, we don't need that, and let's actually enjoy the image. Now, we have a set of very vivid colors. I forgot to mention this one is an AMOLED panel. Yes, AMOLED, 6.39 inches. Vivid colors, wide view angles, and the summer is still kicking even in late autumn. So I mentioned the summer because I put this screen under a 30 degrees sun, 30 degrees Celsius, and it has zero problems with the contrast. So good contrast, vivid colors, nice brightness, and deep black. No problem with the green hue like some of the other units. Now, when everything's said and done, this is a pretty immersive screen with very narrow bezels at the top and bottom, or better said on the sides if you're looking at it vertically. And now let's see how the pixels of the screen are looking like under the microscope, because we also did that. Okay, so this is the pixel arrangement. It may feel familiar if you've seen an AMOLED before, Pental matrix, and we also did some measurement of the brightness, achieving a top level of 478 lux units. It's reasonable. I would say it's quite good for a flagship. However, I've seen much higher. For example, the iPhone XS Max goes much higher. Even though with this value we beat the Galaxy S9 Plus, the HTC U11, and the Nokia 7 Plus. At the same time, we scored below the Huawei P20 Pro, and it's very good, 629 lux, and we also scored below the iPhone X and even the older OnePlus 3. Now, if you're not happy with the color choices here, you have a lot of tweaks and settings to perform. You got your brightness, auto adjust, color and eye comfort, there's your natural tone, there's the color mode and temperature, can be set to normal or vivid, and believe me, you want to stay with vivid because it simply looks too nice. We got a palette here for colors, you can select default warm or cold. We got eye comfort if you want to get rid of the blue light and sleep better at night. Text size and display size, which is something normal on every phone. Screen resolution can be set to smart to save juice for the battery, and you can set it to HD+, Full HD+, which is actually the default, and WQHD+, which is the maximum resolution and the one I mentioned before. Okay, more display settings. We got a simple mode for people getting accustomed to the phone for the first time, and always on display, which you can see here, showing some information like the date, time, and things like that. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the screen performance, nothing to object here. And here we go. Now we got the full screen display option, so you can get advantage of all the screen estate, and you can hide the notch from here. So excellent contrast, colors and experience, even though I have to say I've seen much brighter screens out there. This one is sufficiently bright and has nice contrast. Now let's get to more serious things, and by serious things I mean the premiere. This is actually the first Android phone with a 7nm CPU, the Kirin 980, which was announced way before the handset actually. The Kirin 980 was announced at IFA 2018. It's an octa-core CPU, 7nm with a brand new GPU, Mali G76 MP10, GPU Turbo 2.0, and the promise of 60 frames per second gaming in at least 6 titles out there. We have a dual NPU for AI, and it's actually the first phone to offer you support for 2123 MHz LPDDR4X RAM, so that's something. The phone, speaking of RAM, comes with 6 or 8 GB of RAM, 128 GB of storage, and a brand new type of storage, which is the nano memory card. Not a big fan of it. It goes only up to 256 GB. It's proposed by Huawei as a novelty, and not very sure it's going to catch. We'll see. The phone itself has zero lag. I've really been using it, believe me. I've been using it so much that I've taken, as you can see, over 1100 photos. I use it during events, launches, on a vacation, at restaurants, with friends, when traveling, during the night, during the day, on the beach. So probably nobody has used this phone more than me for a review. And believe me, zero lag no matter what I did. I installed games. We got Creative Destruction, we got Crossfire, we got everything here. We got Pest Club Manager, we got Riptide. So believe me, no lag has appeared during all of these things. So considering that Creative Destruction runs on it, it's obvious that a game like Asphalt 9 would also run, but as usual I'm going to give you a demo of gaming. Here we go, Huawei Mate 20 Pro. It also has a recording feature, but the resolution is rather poor. Okay, let's play. Go here, next, pick this car, and we should have upgraded, but that's not the purpose here. The purpose is actually seeing how the game looks like on this screen, AMOLED screen with HDR and all the goodies. I'm turning on the music because, as you know, it has original songs, this game, from rappers, electronic music and the works, and I don't want to get kicked off YouTube. Okay, so beautiful drizzle on the screen, very impressive drizzle. I played the game before on the iPhone XS Max. I played it on a lot of devices, and every time I feel myself impressed by the way the graphics look. I even played it on the Asus ROG phone, and keep that in mind, I'm coming off the ROG phone, I'm still being impressed by the game. So that's got to say something. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. That's the experience of gaming here. So let's skip straight to the benchmarks. Okay, so benchmarks it is. Be patient with me because we have a lot of screenshots. This is going to be a pretty easy section of the review. Basically, it dominates everything as expected. So I'm going to start with Antutu 6. It's the champion here. First spot, beats the Asus ROG phone, the iPhone X and the other models. This is Antutu 6. In Antutu 7, we got another crazy good score, and in spite of that, it's actually the second placed phone, only below the iPhone XS Max, and it's below it by around 47,000 points. Otherwise, beats the Asus ROG phone, Galaxy Note 9, and every other Android phone you can imagine. Geekbench 4 always staying relevant with pretty impressive scores if it weren't for the multi-core, which is actually surpassed by the last year iPhones. So basically this one beats every other Android phone, Asus ROG Phone, OnePlus 6, Galaxy Note 9, Poco Phone, what have you, and it only scores below the iPhone 10 and some of the iPhone 8s and the iPhone 10s Max. That's it. On the Android world, it's the king. If you're wondering about Slingshot and its graphical prowess, well, it's actually placed on the 5th spot. It may beat something like the Sony Xperia XZ3, HTC U12 Plus, Galaxy Note 9 Exynos, but somehow it scored less points than the OnePlus 6 ROG phone from Asus and the Zenfone 5Z. It's a very powerful device. You'll see that in a lot of benchmarks. It really scores highly in most of them, and in most of them it's on the first spot, so among Androids it's very hard to beat it. But does this come with a cost of temperature? Let's actually go and find out if it's the case or not. Now that we're done with the benchmarks, let's talk about the temperature. So, as usual, we do some thermal image scanning with the Cat S61 handset and its FLIR camera, thermal camera and sensor. And we achieve 36.3 degrees Celsius when charging, which is very important because the phone charges very fast. No overheating here. When we did benchmarks, we got as high as 42.9 degrees Celsius, which is overheating, but doesn't happen in real life usage, including gaming, which is actually achieving a pretty decent 35 degrees Celsius. So actually not bad. There's no overheating here, except for the time it actually goes to the max with the performance in the benchmarks. On the battery front, Huawei is still being generous. They're being generous on the Huawei P20 Pro with 4000 mAh. They're being generous on the Mate 20 Pro with 4200 mAh. Now, we also have 40 watt supercharge, 15 watt wireless charge, AI power, and if you put another phone that's compatible with wireless charging on the back of this phone, it will charge it. I've tested it with the Galaxy S9 Plus and I'll tell you more about it before. So, let's see what's happening here when it comes to the video playback and all that. As usual, we measure the video playback in a loop, we measure continuous usage, and boy, am I going to have to look for this duration. Video playback time is 12 hours and 41 minutes continuous video playback, basically one whole season of Netflix. It's better than the Galaxy S9 Plus, the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10, stays below the Huawei P20 Pro and its crazy 15 hours and 37 minutes. Also stays below the Galaxy Note 9. In PC Mark, the continuous usage test, I'm a bit disappointed. 8 hours and 51 minutes, it's still pretty good, but they've been bragging a lot. They've been spreading around batteries during iPhone launches. They've been trolling people, Huawei, and only 8 hours and 51 minutes. I've seen better. It's actually the 62nd placed in our top, so could be better. It beats the Sony Xperia XZ2, the Google Pixel 2 XL, and the Nokia 8 Sirocco, but stays below the Asus ROG phone and the Huawei P20 Pro, which is much higher at 11 hours and 57 minutes. Also below the Galaxy Note 9. However, I would say the selling point of the phone maybe is the crazy fast charging, a new record. 53 minutes for a full charge. The previous record was the Asus Zenfone 5Z with 1 hour and 3 minutes. I'll repeat it, after 53 minutes you can go to 100% charge with this phone. After 5 minutes you're at 13%, after 15 minutes 38%, and after 30 minutes you're at 75%. So let's say it again, 5 minutes 13%, 15 minutes 38%, and 30 minutes equals 75% battery charge. Now you're probably going to do some settings here for the battery. You got optimization, performance mode, power saving and ultra power saving, power consumption, darken the interface, wireless reverse charging, and tweak the screen resolution to save juice. Now let's see how the wireless charging works. I mentioned before, you put the other phone here, you start charging it up wirelessly, and it does something like 1% every 10 or 15 minutes. It's obviously slow, but still better than nothing. Okay, so we're done with the battery. I'm happy with the video playback and the charging. Continuous usage could be better. On the speaker front, on the acoustic front, we have dual speakers, one at the top which is very small, one at the bottom which is interestingly placed within the USB port. Yep, that's what they did. Stereo speakers, the Huawei P20 Pro also had them, and now let's actually listen to some tunes here. So yes, if you cover the USB Type-C port, you're actually going to hear a very muffled sound, that's for sure. And as you saw before, we have some Dolby options available, Dolby Atmos with modes like Smart, Film and Music, providing more rich, detailed audio. My actual experience with the set of speakers we have here, well, there's a lot of vibration on the backside. I love the way the voice is heard, decent bass and high notes, and some covering of the bottom speaker in landscape mode. The experience is not uniform. You cannot compare the bottom and the top speaker. They're actually pretty different in the area of equalization. I would say that the bottom one is a bit stronger and the top one, well, it's actually smaller. Was to be expected it will be weaker. Anyways, the bundled headphones are typical. They copy the Apple EarPods. They connect to the USB Type-C port. We don't have an audio jack here. They're reasonably comfy, but not very loud. So that's the experience. Nice bass, pretty strong vibration of the backside, okay voice and nice highs. And the problem with the speakers not being uniform in the sound they output. The bottom one is more powerful, but also easier to cover. And when you're charging the phone, you're basically getting a muffled experience because the Type-C port is covered. Now let's see how we did with the decibels. So first of all, I'm going to start with the top side speaker. This one achieved a value of 77.3 decibels. This is actually the other test. So here we go, 77.3 decibels achieved by the small top earpiece and speaker. Not very impressive. And the bottom one achieved a higher result, which is what I mentioned before, 84 decibels, the bottom USB Type-C speaker. Now with this value here, we're actually surpassing the Huawei Honor 10, the Google Pixel 2 XL, and the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, which is actually the predecessor of this phone. So we beat those models, the Honor 10 and the Pixel 2 XL, but at the same time we scored below the Huawei Mate 9 and the iPhone 7, so could be better. Now when it came to gaming, we reached a more respectable value like 93.2 decibels, that's the result, and it's actually not very impressive, it's just okay. There's no record breaking. It beats the Huawei P10 Plus, the Huawei Mate 9 Pro and the Xperia XZ1. It stays below the Huawei P20 Pro and it's 98.7 decibels. It also stays below the iPhone 8. And we're done with the acoustics. That's it. Let's talk about the camera. So first of all, yes, it's a square, and yes, it's a triple camera. You can see the LED flash here, and these are the other three cameras. The Huawei P20 Pro also had three cameras. We have Leica technology here, and let's talk about the cams. So we have a combination of a 40 megapixel sensors, which is the main one, f1.8 aperture, wide angle, and then we have the 20 megapixel ultra wide angle, which is a novelty. It replaces the monochrome one from the P20 Pro, and finally we also have here a 8 megapixel telephoto sensor with f2.4 aperture, 3x optical zoom, 5x hybrid zoom, and that's about it for the backside. So this main camera array also offers laser focus, phase detection focus, contrast focus, AI technology, a dual LED flash, and it can detect 1500 scenes thanks to the AI. That's the back camera. It also has optical image stabilization on one of the sensors. Now, the front camera is a 24 megapixel shooter for the selfies with portrait option, f2.0 aperture, and the camera app itself is here. If you've seen the Huawei P20 Pro, you'll know what to expect. Here we go, these are the options, and this is the impressive zoom. It's 3x, it's 5x, it's 0.6x, which is actually the ultra wide angle shot. Okay, now the modes are familiar, you can see them here: monochrome, HDR, 3D panorama, even a special underwater mode, panorama, light painting, filter, document, slow-mo, AR lens, time-lapse, watermark, and download. There's the pro mode. You can do your own tweaks here with white balance, focus, exposure, shutter, ISO, and metering. Video is here. You can shoot 4K clips. Photo, of course, there's this option to tweak colors, standard, vivid, or smooth colors. Moving photos are here as well. Portrait, which is basically bokeh, and you now have new lighting options for the phone. I'm frankly speaking not very impressed by them. So photo booth, stained glass, folding blinds, pop, and stage lighting, they feel a bit cheesy, some of them. And here you have circles, hearts, swirl discs. I could actually live without those, so if you want to take a proper portrait, I feel the need to tell you, you should probably opt with a core photo booth and probably stage lighting, and that's about it. There's a night mode, there's the aperture setup, which we've been having ever since the Huawei P9 series, maybe more, and more options. Here we got the resolution, master AI, assistive grid, and something pretty cool when it comes to the video, something new, AI zoom. It automatically adjusts the zoom level to keep the subject centered. There are a lot of things here, a lot of special features and things like that I will not cover because there's a lot of them, a lot of new stuff. Okay, now we go to the actual gallery, and it's probably going to be a pain to navigate through it, but bear with me. So, photos. I have taken a huge amount of photos here, and I feel the need to compartmentalize them. I've taken about 1000 photos, and some of them were taken during the launch of a Samsung phone. Okay, let's get out of the way. We also did the comparison with the previously tested iPhone XS Max, and it basically beat it in most of the tests. So let's actually take it 1 minute at a time. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. These are indoor shots. We were cooking, and these are the ingredients we were cooking with. I would say the colors and textures are okay, even though the red is a bit too strong and not the best calibration in the world. Perfect details, perfect clarity, and excellent level of focus. So indoor shots when cooking, check out. I have to say again, some of the colors feel a bit too vivid. The problems of the Huawei P20 Pro are gone now. There is no longer that exaggerate oversaturation of the greens, but the reds still have a bit too much kick. Those are indoors. Now we go outdoors to some pretty decently calibrated colors, even though I have to say it again, the reds could be better. Now the zoom is the real star of the phone. The Huawei P20 Pro had crazy good zoom. This one actually beats it. We were at the zoo with this phone, and what better opportunity to use the zoom than a zoo. So no matter how much we zoomed in on these animals, all the details were excellent. The clarity, the colors, everything looked fine. We have a lot of these animals, including bears, birds, pigs, and what have you, and baboons. Of course, we've taken a series of shots, some of them with HDR, some of them without, and the results were pretty impressive. Clarity was always top-notch, and we also have a lot of details here. A very nice texture and an excellently captured sky, which is something that some phones have a problem with. And of course, we also played around with some bokeh and portrait captures. This is one of the best ones we did. It blurs the sky neatly, it highlights the subject, and even though the bokeh is fine, this is some color deformation. These leaves are never that red in real life. Keep that in mind. So there is a slight deformation of the red color in nature. Another problem here, you want to take a close-up of a nut or other fruit out there, and the camera tends to focus on the background if the subject is smaller than the background stuff. So it's hard to take a proper close-up because the camera is too eager to focus on what's on the background. At least we have good news. There's no more greenery, overexposed vegetation, so that's nice. Okay, those were shots taken in one town. These are other shots. These are indoor shots of food, and this green here is totally exaggerated. In real life, this food wasn't that green and the mustard wasn't that yellow. So once again, it kicks a bit too much. It kicks up the colors a little bit. Okay, excellent shots of the seaside. You can also take some pretty nice ultra wide angle shots when doing tourism. Played around with the bokeh a bit on these statues, and I'm pretty happy with the results. Of course, selfies, I've also taken those, and I have to say, pretty impressed, especially by the details. The big resolution of the camera already told me that things were going to be great, but the details are actually excellent. Possibly the best selfie camera of 2018, just possibly. And even with the sun behind me, I was happy with the result, even though there's a bit too much HDR in this photo. Okay, so we got the selfie out of the way. Of course, you can take portrait selfies with ease and focus on your face and blur the background. Some more shots here, even a moving photo of some sizzling ribs. We also have that. As I said before, we have a lot of shots. A thing that I don't like are those special portrait modes with the church, let's say church windows imitation in the background, the blind imitation in the background, and this extra color. It may look cool, but in the end, I feel they're too gimmicky for a proper portrait. That's my impression. More indoor shots, more food shots. As you can see, we have a lot. And actually, one of the best shots I've ever taken, let's see it, it was during the event that unveiled a Samsung phone. And it's actually taken automatically, so how cool is that? The AI will detect it's time to take a portrait shot, and it will actually do it. And here we go. I'm thinking it's this one here. Okay, so now you can see it's focused on the background, and now on the subject, on the foreground, everything is blurred behind it. And once again, one of the best shots I've seen with portrait on for this device. So there you have it. It's excellent for everything. It only has two flaws: the way it captures the hue of red and the way it captures close-ups with some focus problems. And bokeh, not very convincing. I would say it again, bokeh is fine, it looks nice, it looks good and all. However, those extra options, I'm not really sold on them and not very sure they actually impress anybody. Okay, so basically the champion in daytime capture. So now let's talk about the low light capture. Now, as far as the low light pictures are concerned, we actually did a comparison with the iPhone XS Max, and this comparison favored the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, unbelievable as that may sound. So let's get things going. First of all, we took some shots of these beautiful historical buildings and the water, and what we found out is that the Huawei Mate 20 Pro is able to capture this situation better than the iPhone XS Max. For example, it catches a better texture of the water and a better color of the bridge here, and also a better way of showing the nighttime lights. Don't get me wrong, all these shots are excellent, but it doesn't capture as much light as the Galaxy S9 Plus or the Galaxy Note 9. However, it captures perfectly calibrated colors and a lot of details, and the zoom levels are crazy good. Now, if you thought that the Galaxy Note 9 and Note 8 had crazy good zoom, check this out. The Huawei P20 Pro also had an excellent zoom, and this one continues in the same line. Once again, solid brightness and a solid way of catching the sources of light. However, one big caveat of the phone is the time when you activate the ultra wide angle lens, and you can see here the difference: normal, halos for the street lights, and okay colors. But when you're using the ultra wide angle camera, things get red, they get a bit curved, and we also see extra halos around the lights. One more example: normal shot, which is quite good, and ultra wide angle, so you better skip that one if you're aiming for quality shots. Overall, nice colors, overall great details here, nice texture, and a lot of perfect calibrations for the light. So in this example, we took a shot with the iPhone XS Max, and it had some minor problems with this logo here, while the Huawei Mate 20 Pro handled it like a champ. So when it's battling a light source at night, it surely wins in front of the iPhone XS Max, and it's probably the best low light capture camera that you can get right now. The best of 2018, the best zoom for sure, the best colors, not the brightest, but simply the best. The only caveat being the ultra wide angle shot. I think we're done here, we're done with the photos. This is basically the best handset to take photos in 2018 right now, except for the focus thing in close-ups. And now let's talk about the videos. Boy, we do have a lot of them. So I'm going to get things started with some shots. Let's have a walk around Portsmouth, and it was a hugely windy day. We were actually walking around on the pier, and guess what? Huawei has finally delivered a pretty decent stabilization during the day. Great clarity, nice texture of the waves, a nice way of setting up the exposure, zero flicker, and zero problems with the stabilization, which for a Huawei is something new. Ever since the Huawei Mate 9 Pro, I've seen an improvement, and this is the zoom test, which is actually pretty okay, at least at about 3x, even 5x. So two things are good here: stabilization and also the zoom. Okay, so we proceed further. Let's try and see some shots with more color, like for example, let's see how the device handled this scenery, which has a lot of color. They're well calibrated, I would say. The reds are nice. The sky is always a bit white, which is something I also found on the iPhone XS Max. Excellent focus, even though I pan very fast and I move the camera very fast. I had zero problems with that. Focus is perfect. Colors are excellent. The clarity is great. One drawback here is the fact that you're only going to film in 4K at 30 frames per second. There's no 60 frames per second filming. And I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the way the sky looks. It's a bit too wide for my taste. So dynamic range, not the best in the world. And also the 60 frames per second video in Full HD, not my favorite. Once again, the sky dynamic range isn't perfect. Yes, the bitrate is excellent, but things feel a bit murky and muddy in the background. The foreground they're okay, but in the background not so much. So avoid 60 frames per second Full HD. They probably thought that about 4K. That's maybe one of the explanations. We actually use this phone. If you've seen our recent hands-on with the Galaxy A9 2018, guess what? We used this phone to film it on gsnl.com. And it did a fine job. So for a journalist, the handset works out fine. Although be wary of getting the subject too close to the camera. There will be some focus problems. But overall, if you're filming 4K during events and you're a journalist, you'll be more than happy with the result. Selfie videos are stunning. So this has got to be the best selfie video I've ever taken. Of course, the beach also helps and the beautiful scenery, but the texture of the face, the skin, the clothes, the sand behind me, I feel that this is probably the best selfie video I have ever taken. So that's a big plus. Okay, we also have other videos, excellent sceneries here, excellent way of setting up the exposure, nice dynamic light and dynamic range and all that. And still I would say that some parts of the sky are a bit too white for the phone's own good. And let's see what else we have. Maybe more colorful scenarios, this one here, moving subjects. The best thing about it is that it no longer burns the green hues like the Huawei P20 Pro. It stabilizes better and has some pretty kick-ass selfie videos. Now there's also a slight bug here, so when you're filming at some point and when you're zooming out, you'll be turned back to 0.6x and you'll be left with a wide angle capture, so that will be a bit annoying because of the colors which are a bit messed up. So right now I'm zooming in, and when I zoom out I will be left at 0.6x, which is basically shooting with a wide angle camera, and I'm trying hard to go to 1x and I'm having trouble with that, and it's messing up the colors. So that's one bug to remember. If you wait a bit longer, you'll see the 1x option on the screen and things will be solved. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm actually going to show this to you. So let me get the subject. So we have this here. I'm pressing video and let's see the bug. Right now I'm filming and let's say I go to something like 5x. Okay, I want to go back and guess what? I go to 0.6x and it's basically wide angle. I have to wait and wait and wait and wait some more, desperately trying to get 1x. And here we go. It's barely now we get to the normal view, and that's a bug if you ask me. Some people may not consider it. Anyways, you've heard my impressions. Things are quite good in clarity, colors, stabilization, selfie video, except for dynamic range of the sky and this thing you saw here. I would say things are quite good in filming, and the fact we don't have 4K at 60 frames per second. Also another thing, I'm not exactly hugely impressed by the slow motion captures. I mean, I wasn't impressed by them even in the time of the Huawei P20 Pro. I think the Galaxy S9 and Note 9 do a better job. This is only one example. You can see the bouncing ball next to the cat with zero interest for it. Be sure that when you're using super slow motion, you're outside in the sun, otherwise things will get pretty dark. Okay, so in the end I will remain with the memory of the selfie video. Otherwise, I think there are better phones out there for video, some Xperia XZ3 for example, Galaxy Note 9, iPhone XS Max, so just the selfie video and some of the 4K 30 frames per second. Now, during the night time, things are actually pretty weak. So we have two videos, and this is actually the weak spot of the phone. So first of all, pretty big halos, nice colors and all that. Solid panning and all, no problem. Some artifacts appear here and there, but you'll also see some flicker. The image is flickering a bit. Pretty solid zoom, I'll admit to that. Pretty nice details, and the problems clearly appear in this video, the second video. First of all, pretty weird that we filmed in 27 or 28 frames per second. We couldn't get as high as 30, and here you can see the image flickering. It's trembling, definitely not behaving like a $1,150 phone. and it's clearly below what the iPhone and Galaxy Note 9 have to offer. Okay, I know the street light halos are okay, the colors are okay, there's a lot of details, nice clarity, but the flickering is annoying. And then we have the bug with the zoom out. Now the image will get red because we're switching to the wide angle camera, and as you can see here, that's not a compliment. So low light capture, video low light capture is a bit of an Achilles heel for this phone. It's clearly below, let's say 5 or at least 10 other phones. The camera is done and dusted. Let's go to the web browser. It's obviously Chrome, and it's definitely no Safari, at least if you're going by the SunSpider benchmark score. This is our website, gsno.com. Here we go. That's the site, and input is done with SwiftKey. Not my favorite keyboard, but it's growing on me. At least it has swipe. Now let's talk about connectivity. So Huawei Mate 20 Pro has a bunch of premieres. So first of all, let's go to the normal stuff. We got the USB Type-C port at the bottom for the headphones, connectivity and all that jazz. There are dual SIM versions, there are single SIM versions of the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. We got an infrared emitter at the top and an app to control TV set-top box and all that. We have a special GPS with high precision, and it's actually double frequency dual band GPS. We also have dual band for the other orientation means. I'm talking about your AGPS, GLONASS, Beidou, Galileo, QZSS, and otherwise there's Wi-Fi A, B, GN, AC, Bluetooth 5.0. The USB Type-C is 3.1, in case you're wondering. There's NFC and no FM radio. Okay, so those are the connectivity aspects, and by the way, you can also hook up the phone to a monitor, keyboard and mouse and use it as a sort of PC replacement, like Samsung does with the whole DeX thing. Now the calls were pretty loud and clear in my book. They register pretty well with noise cancelling, and as I said before, it's a premiere. We have LTE category 21. Last year the Mate 10 Pro premiered LTE category 18, and it goes on and on. Let's see what else. The speed test is going to feel a bit crazy, especially if you live in Western Europe, where you don't have the speeds we have in Eastern Europe. So here we go, prepare to be amazed by these speeds. So on Wi-Fi, we got to the maximum level of my subscription to the carrier. Believe it or not, my subscription is 500 mega per second with 25 download and upload, and guess what, 499, 25 in download and upload, and that's just crazy on Wi-Fi. Also crazy and actually very impressive on 4G. We got as high as, let's see, come on, let's find it. Pretty amazing result. This is it. This is 4G LTE, 253 mega per second downloads, and in some versions 67 mega per second uploads. This is actually Orange, in case you're wondering, Orange Romania, and kudos to them for achieving such high speeds. The phone also helps, so this actually feels like something like a 10 out of 10 for connectivity, because it's simply great. On the software front, Huawei has been talking a lot about Emotion UI 9.0 on top of Android Pie, and frankly speaking, there are some minor, very minor cosmetic changes, but otherwise the experience is pretty straightforward and typical. Not very much changed from the Huawei P20 Pro. Leftmost home screen, it's for Google and it's Google Feed. We have some lighter hues. The multitasking still is based on cards. You swipe them out to close them, and you also have a split screen. That's also an option here. So on the one hand we have your screenshots, and on the other hand you have something like the web browser. That's only one example, and you can do browsing in the pictures and browsing in the websites, and that's split screen multitasking for you. Okay, now if you pinch the screen, you'll be treated to the wallpaper widgets, which are some of them stock, some of them Huawei oriented. Transitions, okay, nothing fancy here, and the home screen settings with the layout, the auto align, shake, badges, app suggestions and so forth. Of course there are still notification dots, nobody was questioning that. And let's see what else. A swipe down reveals the notifications and quick settings, the most useful one being the screen recorder if you're a gamer. We also have wireless projection, so you can output the image of your screen and also trigger that sort of DeX mode on a monitor, sans hooking up wires, and that's pretty cool. Now let's actually go to the settings, see what's special there. So there are a lot of things. We got the do not disturb with its special new cool options brought on by Android Pie. Let's actually see them. Do not disturb, time, event, add new. Enroll face, wireless. This is the connectivity. This is the EG projection with a wireless projection. There's the printing, display, sounds, notifications, apps. There's also app twin, so you can actually use two instances of these apps. And then we also have the app gallery assistant, which is one of the features for gaming, game acceleration and uninterrupted gaming. Let's see what else. Something called digital balance, which is basically the alternative for the Google's well-being and the Apple usage in iOS 12, the usage of your device. You have the screen time management, you have some parental controls, and you can see if you're abusing Facebook or not, or YouTube, or simply unlocking the phone too much. Digital balance, that's what they call it. Smart assistance is here. There's high touch, which aids you with the visual shopping. There's one hand UI, there's motion control with a bunch of gestures. We've been using Knuckles ever since the Huawei P9, I guess. Smart cover, mistouch prevention, gloves mode, and assistant navigation. You can opt for the 3 keys here, a navigation dock or the gestures, which feel a bit clunky. Of course, they're basically an imitation of the whole iPhone 10 thing. That's the multitasking. They're a bit hit and miss, at least for me. And let's actually get back to the regular option. System navigation, I'll have the 3 keys, thank you, please. Okay. That's the spirit. Okay, so let's see what else we missed here. So storage cleaner, digital time balance, smart assistance, Google, and finally security. So I'm going to start off with the face recognition. Of course, you need a password, and probably not mine, not secure one bit. How to enroll the face, we already know that. Look straight at the screen. Move your head around. Slowly turn the head. You can see the arrows. And the face has been enrolled. And you can unlock the device or perform a direct unlock or a slide to unlock, smart notifications, access the safe, and you can actually unlock it with the eyes closed. So that's nice. Okay, so here we go. That was a very fast face unlock, but I discovered a bug. So if you're starting from the side, it takes a bit longer to recognize. You just saw it. Here we go, start from the side, and takes a bit longer than looking it head on. I'm happy with the speed, even in the lower light conditions. Let's try it again. Instant unlock, no problem with that. I'm going to can this option, delete the thing, and register a fingerprint because it's special now. Why is it special? It's special because now we have the fingerprint scanner included into the screen. It's embedded, and it's actually of the optical variety, and sadly, not my favorite. Fingerprint ID. Okay. Unlock the device, and here we go. We're going to unroll the fingerprint. And this will be a long setup, be advised, but if you perform it only once, you won't remember it for long. It's actually cool. The screen kind of lights up a bit when you're doing this, so it can actually light up your print and register it better. And once again, I say it's pretty cool. Okay, all the edges, getting it done. This is actually the first phone I test with this feature, and let's try it out. So I'm going to unlock it like this. So you have to press a little harder and a bit longer than usual. And I was imagining I could press anywhere on the screen, here, 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 here. Nope, just in this fixed area as far as I know. Fingerprint ID, I may be needing to mess around with the settings, but I have yet to find another way of unlocking except for actually pressing here. It's pretty accurate and so, but the press is pretty hard and you actually have to look at the screen compared to the times when you didn't have to look anywhere. You felt the print scanner at the back of the phone. Not my favorite, but I can get used to it, and I can also get used to pressing harder on the screen. Okay, so those are the security means. I'm a bigger fan of the face unlock. Let's talk about the apps. You can opt to have or not have an app drawer. I counted the pre-installed apps. There's 49 of them. So I would say it's bloatware, but we have a lot of storage space, so I'm going to leave it be. App Gallery, which is the App Store, Booking.com for holidays and all that jazz, Docs, Drive, Dropbox, Facebook Duo, eBay, Health, it monitors your steps, log into your account, see if you've gained weight or lost weight. Phone Manager actually has something interesting. Virus Scan is powered by Avast now, antivirus. There's Cleanup and Drop Zone. There's a mirror feature and a notepad, which even includes handwritten notes. You can scribble around on the screen with pretty good precision, I would say. Of course, Smart Remote, you can use the infrared emitter to control these gadgets. And finally, weather and YouTube and a translator in real time thanks to AI. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. Hope I covered all the software goodies here on this device with Android 9 Pie on board. And now it's time for the verdict. Okay, so because I don't want to bore you while I'm doing this verdict thing, I'm going to play a bit more Asphalt 9, turn down the music so we don't have copyright problems. Now the pros and cons. On the pro side, we have a phone that looks superbly. I mean, come on, how nice does this phone look? Come on. So on the pros, superb look, pretty comfy for its screen size. Also the highest powered Android phone right now, thanks to that 7 nanometer CPU. Perfect selfies in both photos and videos. I'm actually pretty blown away by the selfies, to be honest. Best picture taking out there during the day, during the night. Now, especially if you leave the whole ultra wide angle off, pretty solid screen all around. Uber fast charge, the best charging out there. Pretty okay acoustics. Perfect connectivity, 10 out of 10 for me. I would also have to say that the face unlock is pretty snappy and fast, and those were the pros. Now on the cons side of things, let's see what we're getting here. I would say that the video playback is quite okay, so no problem with that. On the cons, I'm going to start with the video recording. So no 4K at 60 frames per second. That little bug with 0.6x zoom. When the wide angle camera comes in, things get a bit red and annoying, and the general vibe that the low light video left was pretty disappointing. So video capture could and should be better, especially at night. Focusing in close-ups for the pictures poses some problems. Fingerprint scanner a bit slow and a bit clunky. Having the speaker in the USB Type-C port, not exactly a compliment. And also I find that the speakers weren't exactly the best in the world or the loudest. The back vibrates a lot when listening to music. The Huawei headphones are still clones of the Apple EarPods. Continuous usage could have been better, so we're left with something like 8 hours or so it should have been a bit better. Other things we're mentioning, well, that's about it. Those were the cons, you just heard them earlier. So the general idea is that we're dealing with the most powerful Android phone right now. That has been established, excuse me. So most powerful Android phone, best looking Android phone, best selfies for sure, and the best connectivity. Those are dead on facts, nobody can contradict them. There is no other option right now. However, the camera is a mixed bag because of the video capture, and especially the low light video capture. The speaker in the USB Type-C port is an experiment, not exactly a successful one. The fingerprint scanner hasn't convinced me in this iteration. The nano memory card feels like a gimmick to sell stuff and get more cash for Huawei. And those are the basic drawbacks. So 4 drawbacks: speaker, fingerprint scanner, nano card, and the ultra wide angle camera. For me, they're not deal breakers. You're getting the sexiest phone, the most powerful Android phone, the fastest connectivity, and the fastest charging. So these are some premieres that are worth noting. And once again, the photo aspect of the camera is the best in 2018 in both day and night. So this has been the review from gsno.com of the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, hugely detailed as always, and I feel that we're the only ones uncovering the bugs of the phone. This is it from us. Bye bye.